Hello?
Hello, mate.
How are we doing?
Not bad, man. I just had a quick question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Just wanted to know how come the podcast is coming out late this week.
Oh, you motherfucker. I don't know, mate. Beats me.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
just that it's up a couple of days late, and I was just, I don't know if you had any idea. I don't know if you could point me in the right direction, but I just thought I'd ask.
I could ask about, but top of my head, I don't know, mate. Maybe you just haven't been on
it. just having a lazy week, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be it. I should actually get better at that, to be honest. All right. Well, that's a shame that you don't know.
Great chat, man.
Yeah, man. Lovely to speak to you. Anything else happening in your life at the moment?
I'm just editing. That's all I'm doing in my life.
All right. Well, love you lots, mate, and catch you soon.
Yeah. Great chat.
All right. Cool. Well, have a good night.
Enjoy the podcast.
Yeah. No, I will do. Welcome to the Capsule. That was Joe Priest, aka Monkey Flip Media. And the reason the podcast is late is that it's all Joe's fault. Basically. And that's fine. And we love Joe. But nonetheless, it's all Joe's fault. No, in all seriousness, it is Joe's fault. He borrowed my podcast equipment for work, and that's fine because we love Joe and we work together a lot and we help each other out a lot, and it's totally fine. But I thought I'd call him and just annoy him because I know he doesn't like hearing himself on podcasts, and I know he will be listening. Anyway, welcome to the Capsule. Hope everyone had a good week. We are back again. Few announcements. It's looking like there's going to be some events coming up. Few things happened. Firstly, let's start with what happened in the past, and then we will move on to the future. I went to Back to the Lab this weekend. So if you don't know, Back to the Lab is a professional development program, I'd say. It's a residency type thing that Breaking Convention put on. So Breaking Convention have Back to the Lab and they have Open Art Surgery. So Open Art Surgery is basically a week-long residency with a showing at the end, which is in the Lillian Baylis Theatre at Sadler's Wells. And you kind of have pretty much like 4.5 days to work on some stuff. You have some mentors and you can kind of build a piece and perform it on the Saturday night. Back to the Lab is similar. It's 2 weeks long as far as I'm aware. And I think they have more, it's slightly more extended version of Open Art Surgery. This is not a Breaking Convention commissioned advert of these residencies. So if there's information that's not quite right, you can check it all out on their website. But basically, yeah, it's a longer version of Open Art Surgery. The idea is that you come with an idea, potentially an existing piece, potentially just come with an open mind, and it's something that you work on and you develop, and you work with the mentors. I believe it was John Z was there, Jane was there, Julia Cheng, and Anthony. So these are kind of staples of the kind of Breaking Convention organization, these people. A great bunch of people. And they help the artists who are selected to build some work and then perform it on the Saturday night, basically, or the second Saturday after the 2 weeks. So yeah, it was interesting. It's always interesting to see these pieces, especially being in the audience. Another thing that both of these residencies or programs do is that they have, I'm talking about Open Art and Back to the Lab, they have audience feedback sessions. So often what will happen is John ZD hosts the night, and he will, after the first few pieces, in this case it was the first 2 pieces because there was only 4 that happened. In open art, often it's 6, so they'll do 3 and then 3. And they kind of talk about the pieces with the audience live. So usually they hand out mics. They didn't this time because of, I guess, COVID rules at Sadler's, even though the government has kind of got rid of the rules. I guess Sadler's are still having some strictness with how they do things. They kind of ask for one word feedback. So like one word that the piece made you think of or brought to mind. And then they kind of get the acts to ask the audience a question. Something that maybe they want to have answered by a general audience, something that they're not sure about, just something maybe they just throw out. So for example, in this piece, there was one piece, in this night, there was one piece that was about people from the Middle East, basically, without kind of going into too much detail because I don't want to ruin the pieces. But the artist asked the audience, instead of like feedback, he asked, could somebody just share a positive experience they've had with someone from the Middle East or something like that, or like or a Muslim person, I think, which is really cool as well. I don't know, maybe that was more what he wanted to get out in the moment. Other people tend to ask for like feedback or something specific that they aren't sure about or need an answer from the audience. Like, not like, did you like it? But maybe like, did you get bored in certain sections? Did you find this interesting? Did you understand this meaning that I wanted to get across? Or did it bring these subjects to mind? Or were there any subjects it brought to mind? Stuff like that. I think one of the acts asked, can you relate? Is there something that you can see yourself in our piece? So it really depends on you as an artist and how you want to get your feedback. I think feedback itself is a really hard thing in terms of like knowing how to go about getting it and what feedback is really useful and what you just feel forced to ask. Sometimes it's better to not ask for feedback or not have any feedback, not to say that you can't still ask the questions or hear out people when they have things to say, but I think this is a real skill that people don't quite get, that they're making a choice to either get feedback or even listen to feedback or whatever. I'm talking outside of these programs. So it's really something where you have to make a conscious choice that this is the time when I want feedback and here's what I want it on. Because sometimes people can be like, hey, I liked your piece, but I thought you could have done this. And then you're like, shit, I need to do this. But it's like you haven't even considered if you need to do that or if you're just taking in the advice by default. Like, not everybody else knows better than you. Not even people that are more experienced or better than you at what you do know better than you, because it's your art at the end of the day. So I think that's something worth thinking about. And it's definitely I always listen to feedback anytime it's given, and I often ask for feedback, but I don't always like take it in or implement it. I collect it, and then you kind of have to decide which bits are worth listening to. Even like you can write them down and keep them for another time. Maybe this isn't the time to listen to that feedback, but that same feedback will be useful in a month's time when the process is different. It depends where you're at. So that's just something worth considering. I think the program Back to Lab and Open Art is really interesting. It's nice to have these kind of consistent residency type programs for people to build their work. It's often different people every time, so it's really nice to be able to see lots of different people and for people to get their immediate ideas out there, and then work on them and build them from there. I think one thing that we need to kind of remember as artists and as audience members is like the Lillian and Baylis is a real theatre. Like, it's a proper theatre with like a big lighting rig and technicians and wings and seats and everything, right? Often these residencies, these sharings and sort of feedback sessions and all that are done within a process. So you will hire a studio, you'll be given studio space or whatever, and maybe you'll invite people in and they'll give you feedback. They'll watch certain parts of your piece. Maybe you'll show them the first 3 minutes and then ask for feedback on that. Maybe you'll show them some unfinished sections. Maybe you'll show them the whole thing. You'll get feedback. You'll have a chat. Back to the Lab and Open Art Surgery are done very differently in the sense that they're presented very much like, hey, this is a show and people pay money to come and see it. So therefore there's some sort of pressure / expectations created. There's also, the whole setup of it lends itself to it being a production, which makes you feel like it needs to be finished, it needs to be polished, which is not inherently a bad thing because it's a different type of challenge and you have to understand what you're going into with these things. It's like you're creating a performable piece of work in a week or 2 weeks, as opposed to just playing with ideas, which other type of like residencies and things are. It's just like, hey, here's some ideas that I played with. Whether or not that's even choreographed, it can just be written or something, I just did research. So there's like research residencies, there's development residencies, and this is a bit more of, I guess, like a performative type thing. As much as there is development and mentorship and stretching and fleshing out of ideas, there's this looming kind of thing at the end where you need to know what's coming at the end, And that's not to say that you can't go on that stage and show something unfinished. You absolutely can. But people put that pressure on themselves because of the context that it's in, I mean, I won't say too much about the work, I don't think. Like, I don't want to do a whole full review of everybody's work. I could, but partially because it's unfinished work. So it's like, I mean, I can always, give feedback or give my opinions, but I don't know that it's necessarily fair to give a review as if it's a show, like maybe I did with Breaking Convention, the main stage, or the Ruggeds piece that was like one of the old episodes, because these people are like trying stuff out, and I can say whether I thought stuff worked and stuff didn't. But I mean, maybe I'm gonna. There weren't any pieces that I hated, but if I did hate a piece, maybe I'm gonna watch it in a year's time, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad they continued with that and built it, and now it's beautiful. The first draft of anything is rarely perfect. But yeah, I mean, all of the work was interesting. I think there's a tendency, and I don't know why this is, but there's a tendency in dance theater to like make everything really heavy, and I don't know if it's just me that is imagining that, but like there's no rules to what dance theater needs to be. There's trends in the same way like we see movement trends in like choreography or even on TikTok or whatever. There's trends in dance theater about things that people want to address with their work. Where it tends to be that like a lot of work, especially in hip hop theater, I find, bar maybe like Zoo Nation where they're kind of doing family friendly shows, a lot of the kind of work that I see being developed is heavy and like deep and how do you say it? Like kind of not traumatic, but like addressing traumatic situations or creating this kind of deep and dark feeling on stage because of whatever the drive is behind these things. But not to say that that's wrong, everyone's entitled to express what they want to through art. I just wonder why there's so much of that and not, we feel a lot of other different emotions. There's a lot of different experiences we've had. So why is it that dance theater, especially hip hop dance theater, seems to lend itself towards these heavy things? I also think there's a level of nuance and maybe even care that needs to be taken with these kind of deep and heavy topics that isn't always taken. I'm not necessarily referencing Back to the Lab with this, but just in general, like if you're going to do a piece about something really heavy, it's like just, I think this is with any art, and I was talking about this the other day, but just reenacting or showing us something heavy or traumatic isn't, or in my opinion, always the best way to go about something. Like you need to kind of be making a commentary on that, or saying something about it, or what are you adding to the conversation about that topic? If it's just here's something heavy that happens for the sake of it, I don't know what your art is doing. Besides, if it's awareness, cool, but you awareness is kind of pointless when it's a topic that we all know about, right? Again, it sounds like I'm referencing something in particular, but I'm not. It's just in general. Like, if I'm going to do a piece about male mental health, and I just like I'm on stage crying, it's like, you know, you can say I'm making people aware about men's mental health. Like, people are aware that men struggle with mental health issues. It might need awareness raised in the sense of, hey, we don't address this in society. That's an angle we can go down. Or here's what happens, you know, even here's what happens if it gets too bad. It's like, yeah, we know. And there's a lot of things that are showing us this in mainstream media and stuff about any given topic, you know? So it's like, okay, what is your comment on that subject? Or what is your addition to the conversation? What research have you done that's led you to say, I have something worth saying? You know, if everybody's saying something and then I just pipe up and say the same thing in a conversation, people are gonna be like, okay, you know, it's like, let's go Nando's. Okay, we're gonna go to Nando's. Hey, we're going to Nando's right now. And then I'm like, I like Nando's. It's like, okay, like, we're going to Nando's. That's fine. It's good that you like it. Thanks for that. But, you know, you didn't add something new, I guess. And I feel like again, this is me speaking personally, not necessarily saying, I know I'm the fucking all ruling voice of art, but like, I think you got to add something to the conversation. So I think this is just something that it made me think about watching Back to the Lab, because a lot of those were kind of heavier pieces, heavier topics. And it's just the general kind of thing that I'm like, I think that's really important in art, is to like add something to the conversation and build on what's been out there, you know? It's like when people were like, like, I don't know, like with a lot of the social or political topics of like sharing awareness, it's like, okay, we're aware, like sharing awareness about cancer, like we know cancer exists. So are we donating money? Are we fundraising? Are we talking about how we can support the families of the people who are suffering from this? Like, I think you got to add something, or you got to have an angle, or you got to have a reason for speaking with your art, wherever that might be, you know? And this is just something I think about when I'm creating, I guess. But yeah, anyways, it's always an enjoyable night back to the lab and open art and breaking convention. It's always interesting to see what people are working on, and you know, I'm super happy to see more people working on, I guess, longer form work rather than, you know, creating TikTok and Insta reels and stuff. And like, no, you know, disrespect to people that do that. I think that's fine, but you know, I just think it's nice to also see these the other end of the length spectrum, I guess. You know, it's great to see people killing it in terms of marketing and branding and getting partnerships with companies and stuff on that end. But then also it's like, hey, it's cool to see people, especially in our scene, branching out, building, working on deeper ideas, trying to express themselves over a longer amount of time. So yeah, it is what it is. What else? So Indahouse have done a couple of announcements. They did so the Pengtings week, which we discussed last week with Tally. They've kind of talked about what the schedule will be, because that wasn't out at during the last episode. So on the 17th of February, they've got Inda Club, an immersive clubbing competition inspired by escape rooms. Now that's a hell of a mix. I don't know what that means in like, I don't know how they're gonna put a clubbing competition with escape rooms, but why not? So that sounds fun. The 18th is Indahouse and Friends, our club night for all music and dance lovers. That sounds like a bit more of a straightforward, just open club night, just to party and have fun. So that's cool. People are always talking about, oh, we need more jams and less battles and stuff like that, but then don't put any on or do anything and just still keep going to the same thing. So yeah, that's cool to see them. I don't particularly believe that, by the way, but it's nice to see them put that on. And then on the 19th is the Fire Indahouse Battle, the first stop to the Kingdoms League 1v1 hip hop and popping. So that is what it is, does what it says on the tin. It's a battle, hip-hop and popping one-on-one, and this is the first time they're going to introduce the Kingdoms League. If you don't know about the Kingdoms League, the episode with Kieran, 3 ago, 4 ago, something, 2 ago, go and watch that, and they talk about he talks about the Kingdoms League. But yeah, that should be super interesting, good to see. And then on the 20th, is the guests workshops and In-the-House Mentorship audition. So that brings me nicely on to the next thing that In-the-House have announced, which is their mentorship auditions. So they're again doing these mentorships for the 4th year now. And yeah, basically what it says on the post is that the In-the-House mentorship, oh my god, my words, is 1 year of free mentorship starting in March 2022 with 4 mentors who will accompany you on your artistic and personal journey. Troy, Clara, Frankie and Joelle will set and work towards your goals. They aim to give back to the culture by building up the community. It's open to anyone 16 plus living in the UK. If you're based outside of London, travel will be partially covered and accommodation will be arranged. So that's cool. I mean, those guys have been doing what they do for years. Not the mentorship, obviously that's only 4 years, but together they've got decades of experience in life, dance, art, competition, training, all of that. Bunch of smart people. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it if a mentorship thing is right for you. Again, it's kind of like the feedback thing. Not every opportunity is for you, in the sense that I think we get so in this thing of like gotta get stuff and gotta go for opportunities that it's like we don't consider, is this the right opportunity for you? I've done that a few times where I've like sat down to write an application or something and I've been like, now that I look at it, I don't actually want to do this even if I was successful. So you have to think about what you want out of your career and whether that mentorship or any mentorship is the right thing for you. And if it is, then there you go. You've given it some thought and you know why you're doing it and you know that there is a reason for you doing it. And probably your engagement and your commitment is going to be stronger because you've thought it through, you know? If you don't and you just blindly kind of go, oh, I'll take anything that comes to me, you're not really going to be invested in anything you do, I don't think. On the same day as that, the workshops and the audition is the next edition of Culture Crossover. So make your choice wisely. I wonder if it's the same times. Let's have a look. I don't even know that it has times yet. It doesn't have times just yet. In the club is 5:30 till 10:30, and that's just been announced. But besides that, we don't have times for the workshop. But Culture Crossover does, and that is loading. 4 till 8. So Culture Crossover, we spoke about it when Kieran was here. It will have a 1-on-1 battle and then a 2v2 which says Bonnie and Clyde vibe. I don't know if vibe is the same as a rule or if it's a loose rule. I don't know what vibe exactly means, but it says 2v2 Bonnie and Clyde. For those that don't know, Bonnie and Clyde is supposed to be one male identifying person, one female identifying person. So like Bonnie and Clyde, the famous outlaws or bank robbers or whatever they were. And there's a best dressed duo prize. So I don't know if that's only for the Bonnie and Clyde or if it's just if you're a duo that happens to be in the area, you can get this prize. But yeah, this is again at Peckham Levels, which is a cool location. And yeah, February 20th, Culture Crossover. Oh, what up? And the last thing is that East London Dance, if you didn't already know, have a new building. So their new building is in Stratford. I have been there and I have done a bit of work there already, and it is super nice. They have announced 3 takeover weeks. So what the takeovers are is that I'll read what it says. Our House is the name of the takeover concept. Is our new building takeover project. Yes, that's right. We are giving artists free reign to take over the building and get creative in our spaces. These are building takeovers designed by artists for artists. Expect the unexpected. So still quite mysterious, but yeah, so East London Dance are doing this thing where they're bringing people into their new building, basically giving them the building for the week and saying, go nuts, create some things for the community, I guess. They did an application process and 3 people got chosen. Those 3 people, or 3 organizations, is AIM Collective, the popping collective, Daniel Fung and Kaylee Price, and Rain Crew. So the 3 of those will be taking over the Talent House, which is the name of the building that East London Dance have just opened, or will be just opening. And yeah, so they're going to have their own programs for these different weeks. So not that you're sitting there with a notepad and pen if you're listening to this, maybe you are. But 7th to the 13th of March is AIM's week. Daniel Fung and Kaylee Price are on the 28th of March to the 3rd of April. And then Rain Crew are doing 9th to the 15th of May. So still all in the first half of the year. Rain Cruise is called The Hive, a cross-pollination of skills, practice and culture where everyone unites to cultivate a hive mind. Daniel Fung and Kaylee Price are curating a week focused on the needs of artists and producers. After a 2-year pandemic, they are using dance to bring the community back together again at our new home. Great. And AIM Collective are taking over the Talent House and transforming it with UK street and club culture. So that's cool. The building's super nice. That's 3 cool curators. I like the idea of an artist curated week. I think it's going to be awesome with all the different events and things happening. And it'll be nice to introduce people to the building as well, because there'll be all sorts of stuff happening there. So definitely check that out on East London Dance Instagram. They also announced some classes. So they've got Popping with AIM Collective is going to be starting. I think these are regular classes. So AIM are teaching on a Monday, beginner level popping. Home Bros are teaching Afro also on Monday. Dominic Hamilton's teaching hip hop on Tuesdays. Rain Crew are teaching breaking on Tuesdays. What else do we have? There's a Bollywood class. There's a couple of youth classes, which is Tanea Ice and Josh Franklin, who are teaching those. So yeah, it looks cool. I'm sure there's going to be way more than just that happening. And yeah, I'm sure this is going to be somewhere where we're at a lot. I know some behind the scenes stuff that I can't share without permission yet. I know that it's going to be dope, and it's a really nice, well-made building. So good luck to East London Dance and all of the artists on what they're making, and basically everything that's going to come from there, because I think, it creates more opportunities, and especially in London where venues and buildings and studios are really hard to not only get a hold of as an artist, but also to run as a business owner. I think it'd be interesting to see what East London Dance do with this. And I think it will be a bit more of a community based thing as opposed to like a money making studio, not that that's a bad thing. It has to be done and money must be made, and there's nothing wrong with chasing money and making it. But obviously that translates to the artist where there's certain, fees that can't be negotiated, or there's often not like free things or whatever, because it's, it's a profitable studio, which is normal. But hopefully with this, I think anyway, it's going to be maybe a bit more community based, and there's going to be more events and more different things going on that East London Dance are kind of contributing to the culture. So that's cool. And yeah, big shout out to them. Anyway, I'll leave it there for this week. Big love to Joseph Monkey Flip Media, who is completely 100% responsible for everything that's wrong with my life, basically. No, that was of course a joke. I love Joe. Check out Monkey Flip Media's page, his YouTube and his Instagram. He's fucking dope. He creates a lot of good work and just is a great friend and super inspirational to be around. So yeah, it's just something nice to say about him. Definitely go check his page out. and comment on his latest videos and just write that stop making the capsule late every week. All right, cool. I'll leave it there and have a good week, guys. Catch you next week. And hopefully sometime soon there's some new equipment coming and we're going to maybe do some different things with this. And there's some interviews coming very soon. I don't know exactly when, but there's some interviews coming. We're starting that back up. So check out that. Check out the interviews that are going to come. Check out the Capsule Instagram. Check out the link in our bio, which has the Spotify playlist, which has the link to donate, which has what else does it have there? I think that might be it for now. This YouTube channel. So check out this YouTube channel that you're currently watching, unless you're on Spotify or Apple. Anyway, that's enough of me speaking. See you later, everyone. Bye.
Man like Lotus.